wanted to say, a lot of people come up and ask, where do all these films come from? Where do you guys get this stuff? Where do you find it? The fact is, we have an archive that we work closely with. It's an archive that we built, and then it became a nonprofit archive. It's actually administered by this large gentleman over here, Justin Ishmael, who's traveling with us. I don't know if everybody has kind of a friend who, you're like, I need an end table, and you're driving around, he'll find an end table on the side of the road, or something like that. Justin has this innate ability to find film prints. So he's been an unbelievable, almost supernatural asset for the stuff that we do. So a lot of these prints we find, I say we, including all three of us and other people, we find for sale, people who bought a warehouse. It'll be a warehouse full of prints. And they'll go and have all these prints, and we'll go and buy them for $50 a pop or $20 a pop or whatever. And it's something that since we're really into a lot of these obscure movies, there'll be movies like, oh, it's worthless, nobody wants this movie. And so that's where we get a lot of this stuff. And then a lot of the prints kind of have some special stories behind them. This is a movie that nobody, even big fans of Al Adamson, have ever seen or even maybe heard of, because it wasn't his usual producer, Sam Sherman, that made it. This schlock director, King of Schlock, Al Adamson. It was made for a different producer, and it came into our collection by a very odd and unusual way, which our good buddy Zack Carlson will now tell us about.
I stole it. Actually, first, let's tell him about Al Adamson and where he was when this print was found.
Yeah, that's an essential part of this story too, I think. Al Adamson, as many of you may know, made a lot of movies in the 60s, on into the 70s, and then into the early 80s even. And he was working really on the fringes of the industry. And he met his demise in a really sad way. He had a dispute with a contractor who was working on his home. The contractor murdered him and entombed him in his own hot tub. He was thought missing for a long time, but then our friend Gary Kent was brought over by the police to for questioning, and he went to Al's house, and he was looking around and said, "Where's the hot tub?" And the cops were like, "There's a hot tub?" And then they dug it up, and it turned out he had been entombed in the hot tub, and the guy was convicted, and it was really sad, and everybody was very unhappy. But during that time, I guess a lot of the prints that Al was distributing himself were still out there and hadn't been shipped back, and that was the case with this print of Carnival Magic. It was at a theater that this fellow worked at.
So, 7 years after Al Adamson's murder, I got a job at age 20 at a $1 theater. Shittiest theater you'd ever seen in your life. We were showing Rumble in the Bronx for about 8 months. When the people who owned the theater decided to close it, except they didn't tell any of the employees. So we showed up to work in our stupid fucking bow ties and cummerbunds, and the door had a big padlock on it, and it said, "Sorry, you're let go." So all of the employees that worked there, who were mostly angry 20-year-olds like myself, decided to break in and just completely wipe the place out. So, my friend Scott, who was one of the projectionists, actually had a crowbar. We busted in through the back door. We took video games, stand-up video games. Yeah. We had Mike and Ike's for years. But one of the most exciting finds was that we felt like we hadn't stolen enough. We completely cleaned the place out. And so one of the other projectionists, a guy named Jared, went up into the attic storage space, and there was a giant film reel. Normally reels are about this big, and they hold 2,000 feet of film. This was this big off the ground. A full film was reeled onto it, and it said "Carnival fucking Magic" in Sharpie. And we didn't know what it was, but we stole it. And so I ended up with it, took it home. About a year later, we had a big event at another theater. We watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and then everybody was still excited. And they said, "Hey, go get that Carnival fucking Magic thing. Let's see what that is." And we put it on, and about there had been 200 people watching Pee-wee's Big Adventure, but 6 people stayed behind to see what this other movie was. And all 6 of us have now ascended to a higher state. Which is about what all of you are about to experience. This is Al Adamson. Some of you guys might have heard of some of his movies. He did Satan's Sadists, The Female Bunch, Dracula vs. Frankenstein. all of his movies were offensive and just really deeply ugly, except for when he made an attempt at a children's film, Carnival Magic, which is also offensive and deeply ugly.
It's in a spiritual kind of way. I mean, it gets into your soul, like not just into your viscera, not just into your brain, but it really gets into your soul, and it never lets go.
This is a children's movie. It was rated G by Adamson. He didn't run it by the ratings board. This is true. He put the G on the poster. And it's the only G-rated film ever that has domestic abuse, alcoholism, and vivisection of one of the main characters in the film. So I think it's probably going to be something that you're going to wish that you brought your children here to have. Or actually, it's probably going to make you get a vasectomy. It's that vicious of a children's film. So.
And also, this movie is, it was not really intended to be a comedy, but it is laugh till you fart.
So, anybody out here who's ever fantasized about having like some stone, solid, hard chimp entertainment is about to have their faces completely peeled off. Like, this is chimpanzee filmmaking like you have never seen. Now, it's not an all-chimp cast, mind you, but it has the single greatest chimp actor that I've ever seen in my life, and I watch a lot of fucking chimp movies.
A rather elderly chimp, I might add.
A seasoned chimp. So I'm going to go ahead and let Lars wrap this up, but I really want to thank you guys for staying here, and I guarantee you are never going to see this again because this is the only print of this movie. It has never been released on any sort of home video format, never played on television, never been bootlegged at all. There was one 35 print that Adamson made, and then he was murdered, and then it was stuck in an attic, and you are probably the 4th audience to see this movie since Adamson made it and self-distributed it.
After we show this, we're going to jump in the van. I hear there's a movie at midnight that we're just going to have to miss. But we won't be able to be here for it. We're going to be out of here, but I wanted to thank Los Angeles, all of you here. I believe you're all Los Angeles.
Thank you.
And we've had a great time. We're going to do this more often. We'll come back, yes, right.
Please.
But we will never live here because Austin is a lot better than here, no offense.
But thank you so much again to Phil Blankenship and Brian Quinn who's here tonight. And all of you guys for coming. That's about it.
That's about it. Enjoy Carnival Magic.
Thank you.